Hey everyone, I was recently on Tabletop Tactics with a really cool ad mech list, so I thought I'd break it down just for you. Let's take a look. So hey everyone, welcome back to another video. It's Matt here again, and today we are breaking down my ad mech list for my recently released Tabletop Tactics League report. If you are on Tabletop Tactics on demand, please go ahead and watch that before you watch this video so you can see the list in action. I go through the list on there, which I will do here today, but obviously you see the game, you see the result, because I'm not going to spoil the result here because I don't want to do that. I want people to go and watch and enjoy, but if you don't want to watch that one, there is also one on their YouTube channel on Freeview, which is my Necrons taking on Mr. Beard and the Talarn Desert Jackals. So if you would like to go and check that one out, please head over to Tabletop Tactics YouTube channel. I'll post a link below, and please check that one out. So yes, I went over and did a couple of videos with those guys, and I took the AdMech, took a Skitarii veteran cohort. It's kind of an off-meta, kind of weird list, basically based out of the models that I have, but I will go through the list and explain what I have, why I took it, and then hopefully what I would change in the future. So let's go through the list. So the list I took was a double Mars patrol, and I took it as the veteran Skitarii cohort from the Book of Fire from the Caradon series. Now I have a few opinions on these supplement books, which I'm saving for another video in the future, but quick thing, I don't like it. I don't like that I have to go to another book for these rules. And personally, I think with the way that Skitarii run, you're gonna benefit so much from taking the veteran cohort that in tournaments, don't think there's another way to play them really. There are maybe a few other builds if you want to go multiple Manipulus, things like that. But the Skitarii veteran cohort, wow, that's a mouthful, is very, very, very good. And really, really worth taking. So I'd suggest having a look at it. So as I said, it's a double patrol. It's both Mars, so we get the reroll, and my Skitarii get Canticles. Kind of makes up for the lack of the Lucius punch, but also gives my laser Iron Striders a little bit of a buff as well, seeing as they've now lost the core keyword. So we'll start with patrol number 1, and in patrol number 1 is my Warlord. He is a Skitarii Marshal because he has to be, and he's there. He has the Warlord trait Firepoint Telemetry Cache, which allows me to select a unit and give it cover for the entire battle. I'll be honest, in the game, didn't really use it that much. Didn't really need it, but it's there should I need it for the future. Then I also have a relic on him, which is called the Cantic Thrallnet. This is the relic from the Skitarii veteran cohort. It allows me to select a unit and give them a second Doctrina imperative. Very, very handy, giving a unit that +1 to hit all the time, or that +1 to their save all the time. Very, very strong. Or for example, giving them the fact that they can move and giving them the +1 save as well, so they counteract each other. Really worth doing, because you can then with the Marshal turn off one of the deprecations, so really, really good. Second command in that list in the HQ slot is a Tech Priest Manipulus. He is in there, he is the low guy. I've kept him bog standard other than that, so he's got the low guy Holy Order, so he can make a unit ignore -1 and 2 AP. Other than that, he's completely bog standard. I did look at giving him the Raiment and the Technomartyr relic, but I didn't. There was a reason why, although we'll see if it was worth doing that in the future. So then we go to the troops. So I've got 3 units of troops in the first patrol. I have a 20-man blob of Skitarii Rangers. Now we all know what they do. They're all fantastic. Their damage output is way above what it should be, and they're just a great unit. And secondly, they're joined by 2 units of 5 Vanguard. In these Vanguard, they both have Taser Lances on the Alpha, the Taser Goads, purely because that's what they're modelled with, and I had a couple of extra spare points, so that's why they're there. They're 2 little 5-man squads, and I definitely keep these in any future lists. The little 5-man buzzing around squads, really worth having. Also, right, let's think what else have we got in this detachment. So then we go to the elite slot in this detachment, and we have a unit of 5 Sakaran infiltrators. This is such a great unit. I'd love to have more, but I only have the one. But I did put the Tempocopia relic, so the Fight Last relic, on the alpha in this unit as well. So really recommend doing that, especially with these guys or Rust Stalkers as well. Really strong relic. Then we go into the fast attack in this detachment. I've got 2 units in the fast attack in this detachment, even though I forgot to mention one in my battle report, so I do apologise. The first unit is a unit of 6 Tarakti Sterilizers. As they come, they've all got flamers apart from the alpha, because that's the way it goes. And then I have a unit of 6 of the Cerberus Raiders. The doggos are in force, and they were fantastic for the early board presence. Really recommend them. In fact, I'd probably look at splitting them into either a bigger unit or a couple of smaller units, but very good. Finally, in this detachment, we had in the heavy support slot a Scorpius Disintegrator with Baleros Energy Cannon. We know what they do. Pretty good. So let's move to the second patrol. Again, Mars, because it has to be. To get the Skitarii veteran cohort, they have to be from the same Forge World, so that's why that's done. We have another Skitarii Marshal. This guy has got the Battlesphere Uplink Warlord trait, which allows a unit to move and shoot without penalty for heavy weapons, or advance and shoot without penalty to assault weapons. Really strong, very good with these big blobs. Really recommend it, unless you're playing Metallica, which is something we'll get into in a bit. He's also joined, he also has a relic, you mustn't forget that. He also has a relic, which is the Exemplar's Eternity. Reroll ones to hit, reroll ones to wound. Great. He's joined by a Techno Archaeologist. I made him an Artisan. Basically, he's there so I've got a fall back and shoot, because that's what the Artisans do. And I don't have the Programmed Retreat Warlord trait in the list because I didn't feel I needed it. With 1 fall back and shoot anyway, so yeah, he's there for that. He allows a unit to shoot and do an action, and that's really him. He's the cheapest way, in my opinion, to get that kind of thing on the board. Then we go to the troops. So I have 2 more units of 5 Vanguard in this, and a unit of 10 Vanguard. Pretty simple. They were there to run around and do some stuff, but yeah, I've got some opinions on them. Then we go into the fast attack. In this unit, there's no elites here. Fast attack, we've got 2 units of 3 laser cannon Iron Striders. The chickens are out. They were there to cross the road and destroy stuff. We know what they do. They've lost the core now. They're still great, hence why I made them Mars. Yeah, fantastic unit. We have another Scorpius Disintegrator in the heavy support slot. And then finally, in the flyer slot, we have a bomber. The guy behind me, you can't see him because my chair's in front. The bomber, the Fuselage, is there as well, just to be a nuisance, pump out some mortal wounds, lots of little shots dealing with Horde. Great unit. If it wasn't such an expensive kit to buy, I'd recommend picking up a couple. So that's the list. Let me go through my thoughts on that one there for you next. So my thoughts on the list, basically the idea was to have a nice big powerful gun line with a couple of units of troops that can get out and a few smaller units for some board presence. It's pretty simple, it's very easy to use, it's great on low terrain boards, which obviously was never going to happen with Tabletop Tactics, but in terms of a shooting gallery list, it's utterly fantastic. It does require a lot of thinking. It's a very thinking man's army, especially in the command phase, because of so many buffs that you've got to layer up in the correct places, which are really important. And you've just got to think about where you put them, which I will admit, without spoiling the game, I made some mistakes on that. So it is definitely a thinking man's army. In terms of what it's designed to do, you have the little units, like I said, that go and put pressure up on the board early. If they die, they die. That's what they're there to do. You can buff their saves up, they can be annoying, it just leaves that one man, one objective. That's great. You've got a unit to come down and flame the hell out of stuff if they need to, and then you have the doggos, the Cerberus Raiders to run up the board, cause trouble, stop charges, bait things out to get them out into the open, ready for shooting in the next turn. So that's really kind of what it does. Obviously we know what Mars does with the reroll and giving my Skitarii Canticles, which again, really, really helpful. Would I always keep it as a Mars? Yeah, I really love Mars. That's how I would play it. But this is what I'm going to go through next, which is how I would change the list going forward. So how would I change the list? If I could change it because of the models I own. So sadly, I don't own a few of the models that I would bring in, but hopefully in the future they will be added to the collection, which is good. So the first change I would make is the Scorpius Disintegrators would be taken out of the list. The damage output is very swingy. The AP on the out of line of sight gun is not good enough because it doesn't ignore cover. It's only -1. Anything that's gaining a cover save, which is a lot of the stuff that you won't be able to see, it doesn't really affect it. So they're not really reliable enough. And I think there are better ways to get to things that are hiding in cover. Second thought, the Flyer, he could stay, he could go. It's a very big threat, and if you lose it, it's not that big a deal. In fact, charging it into the opposition line and then just dropping the bomb and then hoping it blows up is a valid strategy. I've got a lot of guns. I actually flew mine off the board first turn. Probably wouldn't recommend that. Actually, I'd probably just fly it into an area where if it dies and it causes problems. And if it doesn't, then you've got another turn of it just causing havoc with its bomb. So yeah, I don't know with that one. It'd probably stay in the list for a while. The third major change I'd look at is my composition with my troops. So obviously I had 4 little squads, a medium squad, and then the big squad of Rangers. How I would change this is I would have 2 big squads. I'd have a big squad of Rangers, I'd have a big squad of Vanguard, and then I'd have 2 little squads of Vanguard just to bomb around and throw at objectives, go for things like Stranglehold and stuff like that. So that would be my big change there. I would have the 2 blobs of 20. I think that just makes them more survivable. If one dies, you've still got the other utility of the other one that you can defend. You throw them out when you need them, and they do deal with different threats. I know people don't think the irradiated rounds strat is so good. I can't remember the exact name of it, but we all know what that we're talking about. And enriched rounds, there we go. Yeah, it's not as good as it was, but it's still very powerful, especially if you get into something with a big horde in front of you. It will delete them. It's superb, and we all know what Rangers can do, especially if you buff them correctly. So yeah, it's definitely a change I would make. I'd have the 2 small bombs going forward. I'd also change my Cerberus Raider units into 2 units of 3, unless I could pick up another 3 and make a 9-man unit. I feel like you only need the 1, really, or the 2 smaller units just to be threatening. You can hide them behind cover, and if people try to charge them, you still tactical oblique them out. They're so useful at getting that ball presence early. So I'd definitely keep them in the list. I'd maybe split them into 2 units of 3. The chickens would stay. No, I would never not take them. The other major change in this list is what I would replace Scorpius Disintegrators with. And the answer is as many Rust Stalkers as I could fit in this list. They are so good. And one big problem I had with the single unit of Infiltrators is that the damage output wasn't quite strong enough to deal with some tougher targets. So I like them for dealing with little chaff infantry groups. That 5-man unit can really get through anything. Drakari Witches, gone. Incubi, gone. Like anything that they touch, they will get rid of if it's got a low enough save or it's a low enough toughness. Rust Stalkers can get through everything else. They output mortal wounds, their attacks are stronger, they have more attacks, you can buff them to get even more attacks. I'd definitely be looking at a minimum 20 Rust Stalkers in that list to replace the 2 Disintegrators. So I don't know exactly what the points are, but I'd definitely be changing to Rust Stalkers, and I recommend that everybody goes out and tries to pick some up. They are fantastic. They really punch above their points cost, and above their strength. So, you know, and then you give them things like the canticles, which gives them, you know, -1 to hit in combat or +1 strength. Really, really great unit. Really like Rustalkers. I need to get some because I don't actually own some. I'd probably chuck another 5-man infiltrator unit in there just to chuck the board pressure in. I think board pressure AdMech is really, really strong. Very hard to get through with the Skitarii veteran cohort. Lots of stratagems to make them really tough. So yeah, I'd definitely be looking at Rustalkers and bodies. Very similar to kind of Richard Siegler's idea for his list that he won the US Open with. The bodies and bodies is very good, but that's what I'd be looking at. Would I bring any units that aren't Skitarii into the list? Honestly, no. You could look at Electro Priests, but Rustalkers just do it better. They've got a better save. You can give them 5 up for no pain if you need to. Maybe, I don't know, we'll see. I'd possibly change a couple of relics around. I'd definitely keep Tempocopia in there. I'd probably keep the Cantix Net, but I would look at maybe Raiment of the Technomartyr instead of Battlesphere Uplink and Firepoint Telemetry Cache. I don't actually think you need Firepoint Telemetry Cache or Battlesphere Uplink majorly, because you've got things like you can put Bulwark when you need to on the right unit. You can auto sermon for 2 CP, put Shroud Someone again. You can Shroud Someone when you need to. So maybe I'd look at the Warlord traits a little bit, but really that's it. You know, I made some mistakes in the game. Again, I'm not going to spoil the result, but it was a tougher game than it probably should have been with an AdMech list. Yeah, it's definitely something I would look at changing. But that's pretty much it. So there we go, that's my Mars list, that's my thoughts on what I would change in the future. If you've got any thoughts, please comment them below, and obviously like, share, subscribe, all the malarkey that you obviously get with YouTube, tick the notification bell, all that jazz, because it really helps me out. I'm only a small channel, but every little bit of growth really helps for the future. So as I said, the next video in the pipeline is my thoughts on supplement books and the campaign books that are coming out at the moment, because I have many thoughts on them at the minute, and I really want to break down what they are. So keep your eyes, or your ears, keep your everything peeled, because that video will be coming soon. So take care out there, everyone. See you very, very soon, and have a great time out there on the battlefields of the 41st millennium.